Hello everyone, it's Pauline. I know it's been a super long time no see. Not for the lack of trying. I have filmed multiple, and I mean multiple videos before this, but I've ended up, trashing them for one reason or another. But I'm trying again. Hopefully this one sticks and I get to publish it and I can stop trying to be such a perfectionist and just get these videos out there. And the way I'm forcing myself to right now is actually, my parents are actually on their way here, so I need to finish this before they arrive, and my hair is still wet, so I'm not, prepared. And I just threw a bunch of books next to me, and I'm going to try and break this perfectionist streak that I have. So, without further ado, it is the new year, new me, right? And I'm going to do my top books of 2024 with some honorable mentions, and I'm not going to do them in any particular order. The only order I'm going to do them in is whatever is in front of me most conveniently is what I'm going to talk about, except for I say the top two, because the top two definitely are my top ones and everything else is just another amazing favorite. So without further ado, the first one I want to talk about is Blood Over Brighthaven. And I'm actually going to do minimal editing as well for this video, just because, again, trying to not to be a perfectionist. But Blood Over Brighthaven, I loved it so much that I actually bought the book in ebook form, and then I also pre-ordered the broken binding edition. So this is the ebook. I first borrowed this from the library in ebook format and audiobook format, and I loved it so much that I bought the ebook itself, and the physical copy is going to be coming to me sometime in 2025. If you like social critique and you like fantasy and you like something that's a little bit dark, this one is wonderful. It's wonderfully written. It's fast paced. I think it is less than 500 pages. It's like 400 something pages, and every single page packs a punch. It talks about misogyny and the patriarchy, religion, politics, immigration, almost like migrants in a sense, classism, racism, cultural appropriation. There's just so much that it talks about, and that's just off the top of my head. It's absolutely amazing. So please go read it. It's also in like a dark academia setting, so if you like that too, definitely check this one out. The second book or series, actually, because some of these are just entire series, because this year, as long as the book is out, I try to read it all together. So it's hard for me then to kind of distinguish one book to the other. But the next series I have the physical copies for, but I'm not going to bring it down. It's too many books and it's in a box. And that is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I know that ACOTAR is way more popular, and I do like ACOTAR. It has its own special place in my heart, being that it helped reinvigorate my love for reading. But Throne of Glass absolutely has my heart when it comes to a series. It's so amazing, and the character development for the main character is incredible. The male main characters are way healthier and less toxic than the ones in ACOTAR. I know everybody likes Reese, but he's dead to me. So I said what I said. Whereas, they're not, like, I don't even know how to explain it. They're just so much healthier as partners in Throne of Glass. So that is my favorite series. I marathoned this series. I read it in like 27 days, like 5,000 something pages, back in April, March, something like that. So that is the second one. The others, I'm just gonna go down first with a book that is again on my Kindle, and I don't have a physical copy of it yet. I'm definitely going to get it, but I feel like this one is super underhyped, and it needs more love. It truly, I think the people who end up trying this book end up loving it, but it's a matter of actually going and trying it. So the book that I am talking about is, and I'm just pulling it up, Sorcery and Small Magics by, I think you pronounce it maiga doocy. I could be completely wrong, but this book is what I want in a cozy romantasy. It is an incredible cozy romantasy. It is so good. So this book, it's got a really unique magic system where you need basically two to tango, one to write the magics out and the other can actually cast it, and they mess up. Like, these two are like grumpy sunshine. They're not enemies to lovers, but they're like, one guy is just the, you know, class pet, like he's like teacher's pet, and the other one is, you know, the one who always sits in the back and makes trouble. So, and he always wants to see how much he can get away with in poking at the teacher's pet. But they kind of screw up, and there's like an obedience spell that gets cast on the troublemaker one. So they go on this like adventure to break that spell. And it's so cute. It's so endearing. I love them so much. And this is the type of cozy that actually has a plot. And the ending really suggests that the second book might have an even bigger plot. So if you are wary about cozy because you think it's too cozy, this one's for you. And it's just got the cutest relationship. All right, so now I'm gonna just go into my stack of books, whatever's in front of me. So the first one I have is, I think, the only romance in my top 10. And that is Just for a Summer by Abby Jimenez. The 3 books in this series are so well written, so incredible. They're not rom-coms. They're more like lit fic romances. They're a bit moodier. And they delve into, you know, trauma and mental illness, neurodivergence, a bunch of these kinds of things, you know, and she goes through like professionals, so therapists, doctors, psychiatrists, and then alpha readers, beta readers, etc., to make sure that the topics are treated in a kind and sensitive way, and it shows in these books. So I'm just putting up this one because this one was the one I read this year, but honestly, Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and Just for the Summer, I don't love as much her first 3 books that she ever published, but this series, like, she's grown so much as an author. Abby Jimenez is probably now my favorite romance author, and I know I've said nothing about the plot, but like, it's a romance, so just read it. The next book that I have here is The Sins on Their Bones by Laura R. Samotin, and this is the Owl Crate edition. I actually met her and have this personally signed as well as, you know, the original Owl Crate tip-in page, and she's really incredible. Anyways, but this book, I think, needs more love. I think it's very, very well written. It's very dark. I wouldn't call it a romantasy because the one of the relationships that's really highlighted here is completely abusive. Domestic abuse in terms of physical, mental, emotional abuse. Like, it is very, very dark, and the thing I like about it is that it doesn't portray it as anything but messed up, but it does get juxtaposed with a very healthy current partner, I should say. So this one has Jewish inspiration. I think it's also Russian inspired, because I think Dimitri's a czar. Yes, he is a czar of Novosvitsevo. I might be pronouncing it wrong. But this is him being, you know, he, at the beginning of this book, has been dethroned by his evil husband. So it's very, very gay. This book, I don't think there was any straight person here. So it's very, very gay too if you, you know, enjoy these kinds of books, like queer books, which I do. So he has been dethroned by his husband, and basically his husband is dealing with the devil. So he's very evil, very abusive, and he is trying to get back his throne. So that is bare bones of what the story is about, but it was incredible. But you have to be okay with the darkness of it, because it's not dark like bloody gory, but it's dark in the level of abuse, relationship within a relationship, like that it portrays. The next book, oh, I don't want to talk about this one yet because it's a smaller book. I'm gonna stack the ones that are similarly sized. The next book I have is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This book is older. It was published 2017, but it is still very much beloved. I have the Alcrate edition because I loved the fairy tale-esque hardback. This and its sequel, Muse of Nightmares, is so incredibly beautiful. It does talk about politics. It has a very healthy relationship. Laszlo Strange, the main protagonist, he is what I want a man to be. He is a born leader, but he is kind, he's empathetic, he is intelligent, he's fair. Like, he's just a wonderful, wonderful leader, and a really, really lovely partner. Even though I would say the romance isn't the main thing about this, it's more about the politics and the casualties of war on both sides and how neither side was truly innocent. I think it is one of the best YA books out there, and there's a reason why it's been such a, you know, big player in the YA book game for so many years, because it's just that good, to the point where I actually want the paperbacks as well, just so that I could physically read them, because, you know, this is more of a collectible edition. But yeah, this duology was just absolutely incredible. And the writing, this is a perfect example of excellent, and I mean superb, purple prose. Like, I feel like a lot of people try to be purpley for the purpose of purpling, and they just write a lot of fluff that doesn't really make sense. This purple prose is so beautiful and impactful, and, you know, it actually adds to the story instead of detracting from it. So this is another top 10 of 2024. Another, in my opinion, beautifully written YA duology is Divine Rivals, and Ruthless Vows is the second one. Like, within the first, I think, 5 pages or something, Iris writes this letter to her brother, and I felt those emotions. I felt her pain, I felt her grief, I felt her love for her brother, and I just knew that after I read that, this was going to just be a beautiful but sad story, and it was, because it's you know, its setting is bleak. It's in a war. It is a romantasy, so it's very relationship based, but it's a very healthy relationship and a very beautiful one. The first book is more about the relationship, and the second book is more about the plot. So some people didn't like that because they wanted more of the relationship in the second book. I actually tend to be more of a plot reader. So while I did love the first book, I equally loved the second book. And that says a lot, because I usually would go more for the plot, and in this situation they were kind of equal for me. But I could see why a reader would much prefer this over the second one if they were really just invested in the relationship. The next book I have is a series. I think there's currently 5 books out. I only have the physical copy of the last one for now, and that is the Eragon Inheritance Cycle series. I got the collectible edition of Murtagh. I read Eragon when it first came out, I think. Like, I was super, super young. I think that's Sesame. He's meowing at something. Anyways, and I remember absolutely loving it. So when Murtagh came out, I decided to reread the entire series, which was great because I remembered nothing. I mean, it's been like 2 decades at least that I hadn't read Eragon. So I really enjoyed my journey back. Some people say that the writing in Eragon isn't good because Paolini was so young when he wrote it. I don't know if it's a mixture of nostalgia or whatever. I didn't mind the writing, actually. Oh, you okay, baby? I didn't mind the writing at all. And the first 4 books, the main protagonist is Eragon, and in this one, the main protagonist obviously is Murtagh. It's written here. I loved both of their journeys. This is an epic YA fantasy. It has dragons, it has politics, it has good versus evil, chosen one, you know, battle scenes. It's a wonderful YA epic fantasy. And I think that, you know, nowadays a lot of books that are being published aren't as epic in scope. And I'm actually going through a backlog of epics that I want to read, but this year I had finished everything that is in this series so far. I do hope that Paolini continues on in this world. It definitely suggests it at the end. It's not like a super closed-ended ending, even though it was a satisfactory one. And I don't know if it was like Broken Binding or Wraithmarked or one of those, you know, companies, but they're making special editions for the first 4 books of the Inheritance Cycle, the original series. So I'm definitely going to be grabbing those. But for now, this is the only one I have. Next up, I have Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia Faeries. I actually have this and the Barnes & Noble's paperback edition of this book, along with the 2 editions as well of Map of the Otherland. So clearly I love it, and I plan to get the same 2 versions for the book that's coming out soon. Compendium of Tales, I think it is. Emily Wilde's Compendium of Tales. Anyways, this is like a borderline cozy fantasy, like kind of like sorcery and small magics. This has a lot more plot to it, so but even like this has more plot even than sorcery and small magic, so that one is cozier than this one, but this kind of borderlines on cozy. Even when it gets a little bit dark, it still has that cozy vibe to it. But you know, if you're not someone who likes cozy fantasy, you will still, I think, enjoy this one because it's got a lot of plot to it. But it follows Emily Wilde, who is very neurodivergent coded, and she's like hyper fixated on learning more about, you know, the fairy realm. As, you know, she kind of journeys through in this book, you know, she's learning all the different types of fairies to create this encyclopedia of them. And the way it's written, I think, is just, I personally loved it. I know that my cousin and her niece, who I kind of also call my niece, they couldn't get behind the writing, but if you love this style of, I think it's epistolary writing, you will really enjoy this. I don't know, I just had so much fun. Both of these books were 5 stars for me, so I cannot wait for the 3rd one to come out. And then, I know I didn't go too much into any of these books because I need to keep this video short, and I want you guys to just, you know, get what I felt from it more. Let me see if I've, oh, I did forget one, and it is another epic fantasy. So I don't have the physical copies. Actually, my friend is giving me her out-of-print editions tomorrow, so I don't have them on hand, but it is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So I think the original title for that is Mistborn: The Final Empire. I've so far read the 1st and the 2nd books, and they are amazing. You know, they are an epic fantasy. I am really looking forward to going into the Cosmere universe. and I'm kind of going one by one in like a suggested order, but I've read the 2 so far. I can't wait to read the 3rd one. And it follows Vin, and it's got like this amazing metal-based magic system, and the world is super interesting, and you know, there's politics, there's war, there's religion, there's magic. I like that Vin, first of all, is a female protagonist written by a male author, and she's not written in like a sexualized manner. She just is female. And while some people criticize Brandon Sanderson for maybe not developing his female characters as much, I actually found it kind of refreshing that he didn't hyper fixate on her gender. So I personally really love this series. So if you are interested, my baby is purring and like needing this blanket right here. I don't know if you can see. Hi, baby. Anyways, so if you hear that sound, that's basically what it is. But yeah, if you're interested in Brandon Sanderson, I know Wind of Truth came out this month, really. But you know, I am so far behind in the Cosme world, and I want to read it in a suggested order. I don't want to just go straight into Stormlight Archive. So I'm gonna read the way I do, but I will get to that eventually. I'm very excited to enter. I'm very excited to enter that world. So I believe that is my top. Yeah, that is my top 10. I have a couple of books here that are like my honorary mentions that I wanted to discuss real quick, since I have a little bit of time still. Again, no particular order other than, you know, I took these off the shelf and placed them here, so I'm just gonna grab them. The first one is a love story by Lone Le. This, if you have immigrant parents, this will hit you so hard. Oh, hi, baby. Yes. He's so cute. Even if you don't see yourself in the main protagonist, her name is Lynn, you will know people who are in her shoes, right? She's in high school, and in this situation, very appropriately, you know, aged, because she's at that precipice where she has to decide what she wants to become as an adult. You know, she's applying for colleges, and it conflicts with what her parents want for her. So they are restaurant owners, and she wants to be creative. Oh, you're so cute. She wants to be a creative, and they obviously want her to go into business or science, I think, or law or something like that. And there's that conflict. And then they also have this rival restaurant across the street, and that's where the romance is. It's YA, so you're not gonna get any spice or anything. But if you like relationships for the tension and the yearning and the development more than the spice, and like I said, you have immigrant parents, I feel like this book just hit in a way that, like, I understood the characters. Yeah, so that was amazing. Another amazing book is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. I've read one other book by her, which was A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, which I absolutely loved. This book, also amazing. Darker, inspired by Goose Girl. Trigger warning, child abuse, like child abuse. The mother abuses the main character. That is all I have for today. If you have any comments, please let me know down below. Hopefully I can publish this, but yeah, I will talk to you guys very, very soon. And Bak Choy, come say hi. Oh, no. Say Bak Choy, bye-bye. Bak Choy, bye-bye.